Hi, in this video we take an initial look at the concept of iteration. There are two ways in which iteration is achieved in Python. One uses the for keyword and the other uses the while keyword. But just what is iteration? Iteration is simply the process of repeating some task. Repetition is very important in programming. In this video we will look only at the for statement. In the next video we introduce the while statement. Now in Python the for statement is used differently than in other languages like say C, C++ and Java. In Python the for statement is used to iterate over sequences of items. Now to iterate is just a fancy way of referring to looping, that is doing something over and over. Objects, which are sequences of items, are called iterables. For something to be an iterable, it must in some way be a sequence of items. In this sense, a string is an iterable in that it is a sequence of characters. The best way to understand this is with an example. Here we have what is called a list. Lists are a very powerful feature in Python, and we will dedicate entire lessons in the future to working with lists. Today, however, we will just have this brief introduction. In this case, we have a list of strings. Note these are strings. This list is assigned to the variable fruits. So what we're going to do with this little program here is first, we verify the type of the fruits variable. Of course, we know it is a list. Then we iterate over the list, printing each item in turn. So let's run this. So fruits is of the type class list. And then I printed this little statement here. Here are the items in the list. And then I have apple, banana, cherry. Notice for each item in the list, we print. So let's look at the syntax here. The syntax for using the for statement is simple. We just say for, and this can be any variable, for I, for C, for any variable you want. It could be, a variable with many characters. So we can say for fruit in fruits. So let's show that I could write here for fruit. So for fruit in fruits, print fruit. And we get the same result. So what's happening here is that as this loop is carried out, every time the loop is executed, fruit, this variable is associated with the next item in the list. And so this goes on for every item in the list. Note that, as I said earlier, strings are themselves iterables. So let's comment this all out for right now. Control // and let's just show what I'm talking about. So I can write, and I can just write so car in orange, print, and notice it prints at O and R and A and N and G and A. So it has to be something that's iterable. So now if I were to replace this with say a number like 8, this would not work because obviously the number 8 is no kind of list, it's no sequence at all. So if I do this, notice it says int is not iterable. So for loops are used with iterables, things that are in some way a list of items. So make sure you study this and then carry out this task. So create a list of districts. So when I say create a list of districts, it's actually a list of strings, and you'll use strings to represent each district. So, for Belize, Orange Walk, and so on. And then just simply print each district. So that's going to be pretty much identical to what we have here. Only that instead of apple, banana, cherry, you will have, let's say, Belize, Orange Walk, Cayo, and so on. And this you'll call this districts. And here you'll say for district and districts, I guess. Also make sure you change this to districts too. Actually, you don't need this because you're not actually asked to do that. We just want you to print every string in your list of strings. Okay, so let's talk about generators now. Lists are very powerful, but they have one potential drawback. They can take up a lot of memory if the lists are very large. So Python, to deal with this, offers what are called generators. So a generator is an iterable in the sense that it produces a sequence of items, but it produces them as they are needed. So they are not stored in memory. You just simply ask the generator for the next value and it gives you the next value. So this allows you then to have large sequences of items with not much memory used. So here we have the range function. Now what the range function does is that it creates a generator. In this case, I'm creating a generator of 100,000 integers. A list of 100,000 integers would be fairly large, although nothing that Python couldn't handle. But a generator would consume much less memory. So let's take a look at this. By the way, this has changed from Python 2.7, so what I'm explaining here is for Python 3 and onward. So here I just call this function range 100,000, and I assign whatever this returns, I assign it to x. And then I check for what the type of x is. I actually print x, and then I give x to a list function. Now what does this list function do? It actually creates a list of all these values. So we won't be doing this, but I just want you to know that it's possible to get a generator, and then if you really want to have all those values in memory, you can then create a list from those values. So let's just run this. And it took a little while, as you can see. So x is of type range, and then when I said to print x, this is all that happened. So let's comment this out so you can see. Notice this says x is of type, and it says what the type is, and then I just print x, well, it prints this. And now here I have it print a list, and to create the list I give it this generator. So x is a generator, right, of type range. And of course you can just intuitively see that this isn't really taking up a lot of memory. Now I actually print the list. So notice I'm creating a list here, and then I'm printing that list, and you can see it took a little while. 100,000 values, and here they all are. So this is consuming a lot of memory. So if you needed all these numbers, but you just wanted, one at a time to get these numbers, then there is no real reason to have all these numbers stored in memory. It's taking up a lot of memory, and then taking them as you need them. It's best to just use this little generator here that has the ability to give you the numbers as you need them. So this is very important. Generators are a bit of an advanced topic, and so we won't go into this in any more detail. Just be aware that this function creates a generator that then can give you these values one at a time. So a range function creates a generator, and the generator is an iterable. So it creates an iterable for you. So we'll see that, we'll look at that right now as we start using this range function. It is very typical for the range function to be used in for loops. If you want to carry out a certain repetition, if you want to loop through some process a certain number of times, and you already know how many times you want to do this thing, well, then use a range function to get a generator. So let's suppose you want to loop through something 6 times. Well, here we're going to do this in a very basic way. We're just going to print the values generated by this generator. So here we create a generator x, and we give it 6. So that means this has 6 integers, starting from 0 to 5. So remember, there are ways to change this, but the default behavior for the range function is to give you a generator that starts at 0 and ends one number before the one you give. So since I'm giving it 6, it's going to go from 0 to 5. If I give it 100, it would go from 0 to 99. So I still get 6 items in this case, just that it starts at 0. So I'm going to get each item 0, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to print them. So I do that here, and see, that was easy. One of the things that makes this fast is that this does not create a list of 6 integers. It simply gives you the integers as you need them. So this will allow us to say iterate through something, say 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times, because then I don't need 1,000,000 integers. It just gives me these integers as I need them. So here we created the generator separately, but this is not the typical fashion in which this is done. This is more like how it's done normally. So I say for I in, and remember this is a function, so it evaluates to something. It evaluates to a generator. This returns a generator. That's going to give us 6 items, 6 integers. So for every item I in that generator that this returns, print it. So I go again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm just showing you that you can print the values, but of course this is not doing anything. But let's suppose I wanted to say hello 6 times. Well, instead of doing that, I could say simply hello, and now I get hello 6 times. And this could be something very, very complex. I could be doing very complex things a certain number of times. So make sure you understand this, right? We'll be using this a lot in this course. As I said earlier, a Python string is an iterable. So here we say for x in hello world, you can use x, I, c, anything you want, anything your little heart desires. And there we get each character in that string. So here's task 2. So task 2, you are given some scripts and you're just supposed to write the scripts. So these, you can't copy these, so I want you to practice typing these out. So for count in range 5, print count plus 1. Now here in this print function, we override the default, which is the new line character. So what this will do is, instead of printing each output on a new line, it will print on the same line, separating each printed item by a space. So do this and make sure you get it to run. I won't do this for you. You should be able to copy this and run it. Try and think before you actually execute it what you expect to see. That is a very good way to learn the program. You type some code and you try and make sure you can see what it's going to produce. And then if it produces what you expected, fine. And if it doesn't, then you try and understand what was wrong with your thinking. Okay? Or maybe you made a mistake typing this code. So that's always a good thing to do. So do this one, and then you have another one here. So this one is in here. I didn't mean to put that there. So if your copy of this worksheet has that done for you, well, you're lucky. So do all of these. Then down here, write a loop that prints your name 100 times, and make sure each output begins on a new line. So that's basically just changing this to 100 and putting your name here. So I think, with this little worksheet, you should have at least an initial understanding of how to use the for statement in Python. Okay, so thanks for looking at this video. Until the next one. Bye.